you were there when Lawler was working out the angle with Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
Okay, as one of the guys there, one of the main guys there,
Yeah.
what were you thinking while all this was going on?
I wrote about this in my book. Andy Kaufman, I was a big fan of his.
Yeah.
But I found out that he was a bigger fan of wrestling than we were of him.
Right.
Because in his comedy, and Andy Kaufman wasn't funny.
Right.
He'd sit in the dressing room, and you think like, what in the hell? If you didn't know who he was, you said, what the hell is he doing in here? You know? But he had so much respect, and he was in awe of the business.
Right.
So much, he'd sit in there like a kid, like at a candy store.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really in here, Because, and he told me one day, I'm not a comedian. He says, I'm a sketch artist. And a sketch artist, by definition, is somebody who gets a response from people, which he did. So that night that Lauder put him in the hospital and they carted him out, I didn't want to know what was going on. I wanted to watch it like a fan. I stepped out there on the floor of the Mid-South. The place is jam-packed.
It was.
Standing room only. I walk out there and I look in the ring and there's Jimmy Hart and there's Andy Kaufman. They hated him, literally hated him. And I look in the ring, and the most unlikely candidate of all time was in the middle of that ring. He's 5'8". He's 160 pounds maybe, soaking wet, with some long johns on and some like little black shorts and pimple face, pasty white, and like I said, the most unqualified candidate of all to be inside of a major wrestling event.
Right.
The only thing that qualified him to be in that ring was that he sold 12,300 something tickets. And I remember he went out there, and I didn't want to know. And when Lawler did it, and they actually picked him up and took him out, the people still hated him.
Yeah.
He was, for all they know, his neck was really broken, and they carted him out. They were standing on the second, the overhang, throwing stuff at him. And I remember even the paramedics, they weren't protecting him. They was protecting themselves. They just beating him to death. And he had the neck brace on.
But there's always...
Because Andy Kaufman, why he loved wrestling so much was that in his comedy shows, how big is a comedy room? 200 people, maybe? But all he could do is try to make them laugh or something. He didn't even do that.
Right.
But in a wrestling ring, he could make them laugh, cry, hate him, stand up, enjoy themselves. He had the whole gamut of emotions. He couldn't make them cry, but he probably could if you mess with him. But he was very good at what he did.
But what
he offered they offered it to to Vince's father.
Right.
First, and they turned him down.
Right.
They said, "Oh no,
I heard that.
That's bull crap, blah blah blah." Because they called Lawler, he hopped at it and said, "Hell yeah!" And when Andy died, Andy, I didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
But when I saw him, I said he's pasty white. And he didn't look well. He was sick.
Yeah.
We didn't know he was sick.
Right.
And when he died, and I think Lawler said this, that when he went through his belongings, he never cashed in his wrestling checks.
Really?
Didn't cash any of them.
Oh,
He still had the original check.